Hello, everyone. Today we're going to talk about a very strange reality. Well, despite of the fact that it is strange, it is also very, very familiar. So imagine that there are two beings in a dimension and space and so forth. Um, and let's imagine that it is some form of reality in which things are designed by the people that are inside this reality. For example, if you decide to draw a star in the sky, the star is there. And then you can set up the settings, the temperature of the star, and you can make a world orbiting it, and you can even live in that world. A dimension in which you live by creating. Now, of course, that when you are in a family and you are, of course, everyone has parents, right? In that case, it's not possible for there to be a human being without there being two human beings to generate that one human being. So, being that the case, the son and the daughter, they learn with their parents uh, what they need to that one day they can teach the next generation, which will be their children, and these children, their children, and these children, their children, and so forth. So it's common for um, an individual to grow and develop and learn all that he needs to progress and move forward, leaving parents behind and creating his own family, creating his own system. And that's how the world became diverse, and that's how we got all the populations and the cultures and so forth, because originally we're all from uh, Africa. Actually, all human beings can be traced to a African Kenyan woman that lived millions of years ago. Going back to the reality in which there's the creation, there is also an issue with within a relationship between, for example, there are countries in the world, but all the attempts to bring all the countries together is always difficult because of culture, because of language, and so forth. And that has been seen as an attempt in great empires such as Roman Empire or uh, Persian Empire, an attempt to unify the entire world into one empire. But then the issue is, imagine we have two beings, or we imagine we have two people that are very, very smart. I can give you an example in ancient Greece, such as Plato and Aristotle. Well, yes, Aristotle learned in his youth from Plato. Plato was the teacher of Aristotle. But there was a point in time where the two philosophers diverged and they no longer. Aristotle, it's really difficult to state which of the two were more influential or important because if you have one and you don't have the other, there would be a huge amount of literature missing from ancient Greece. So I actually have two volumes, a huge volume with like thousands of pages of Plato, and another one with thousands of pages of Aristotle. It says it's their complete work. Aristotle says it's a summary and so forth. But then what I'm trying to say is that um, whenever you have your individuality, whenever you have your own ideas, you may not always get along with someone who also has a very strong individuality and very strong ideas. So this is why the world created by Homo sapiens, this is why there are several countries and cultures because it's not always easy to get along with every single personality and every single person. And so this is actually the origin of all the problems. Competition can be beneficial for the evolution of science, but it can also be detrimental to the human soul. For example, you can picture ancient Greece, and the problem is that they were very, very like there was a point during the Greek history where they were really doing a lot of philosophy and discovering a lot of things about the universe. But conflicts with other nations and struggles inside and outside, conflicts between people, made all that culture of innovation and discovery to come to a halt. Um, so if everybody agree with everybody, if if everybody were together, there would not be a halt. But then that's difficult because there are different individualities, there are different modes of thinking. Philosophically speaking, I believe that the origin of all evil in the universe, to be honest, is trying to overcome your neighbor. It's trying to be better or you compete. So since you're competing with that person, since you're competing against that nation, you don't want them to succeed. So what happened is that generates a situation in which instances where you could be helpful, you're not. It's that individuality. That became a problem because that led to poverty, inequality, and things like that, right? And the future of humanity, if we really want to think of a future that is golden, we should imagine every single human being having all the opportunities on earth to succeed and everybody living in peace and education for everybody and everything like that and dialogue. Um, Analyzing the world today, we are very, very far from such world? I don't know because we evolved from from animals, right? Before we were monkeys, we were probably rats, so it took millions of years. The difference between us and though our ancestor or biological ancestors is reason. However, we still have the desire to overcome. We still have the desire to fight. See what I'm saying? So there's an issue there, and so that's really the origin of all the issues in the universe, both physically and spiritually, or any in all areas. There's always an issue with competition, for trying to be better, of trying to overcome. That's how nations rise and then they fall. This is how, this is even how technology is created. This is even how science makes progress. And some people may argue, oh, if there are no competitions, then there will be no progress. Well, are we having progress with all that competition? Because sometimes the competition is so much that you no longer want to help everyone. So you are the only one who knows it, and maybe a few others, but then the ignorance that is in the majority and the majority becomes unable to make any progress because of that restriction on knowledge. And then you can argue, but there's no restriction in knowledge. Everybody's going to school. Everybody is having access to education more than ever before. I know that. Supposed to be like that. But the problem is that even though education seems to be provided for everybody, even though education does seems like it has become very democratic in the sense that um, the world is more educated than ever before, statistically speaking. There is a rise of a population in the world who has absolutely no clue of how any system, world system works, how technology works. They're just there. If you really want to build a golden civilization in the future, and if you really want to make a step forward in human evolution that will become indistinguishable with us in the modern time, you would have to change this indifference. Will that happen anytime soon? That's the question. Well, before I close this video, I would like to say one thing. As a scientist, we should analyze the present and look at the past and only then make a prediction to the future. Analyzing the world today and looking at what always happened in the past. There's always the rise of a system, a nation or empire, then there's chaos. And then there's a rise of another nation, empire, and then there's chaos. So, but we don't live in an age of empire. We live in globalization. So technically, the entire world is a huge empire. There's technology everywhere. Everybody's contributing, more or less, but everybody is contributing. But there could be a more chaotic situation in the near future. Actually, it looks like that's already starting. It looks like we had the rise of the system in the 20th century, and the 21st century is looking more chaotic, or actually the beginning of chaotic. And then you might ask yourself, well, how long do chaotic moments last? Well, after the fall of the Roman Empire, it took several centuries for something else to come up or something else to replace it. So, in other words, we just don't know. I think we evolved technologically very, very much due to a strict minority that has all the knowledge. The majority has access to knowledge, but they still don't know. In other words, um, we still have a long way to go to enter this golden age where everything works. And I don't think we're anywhere near that yet. We should just hope not for the worst, which could be a very, very um, chaotic situation where we could engage in a severe warfare. I don't think humans would go extinct in such event, but I do think we would have to start all over again. The ones who survive. So we don't want that, and that's the fact.